Some interesting, yeah, maybe you could look at this as good news, bad news, bad news, good news sort of situation. I'm not really sure, depending on how you really kind of wanna look at it, want to work at it. But for me, I look at it as sort of a mixed bag, to say the least. It really kind of comes down to like your personal preference or whatever. But it just goes to show that how fast things can change at Microsoft, and how fast, obviously things that we thought were going to happen maybe don't happen, and things like that. So for me anyway, that's how I kind of look at it. I would love to see some more information about this. Obviously we might have to wait a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes, folks, for sure. Anyway, with that being said, wanted to get into this as quickly as possible. Now, so far, take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. But anyway, so here's this thing. Ninja Theory's Project Mara was apparently a concept. We all thought it was a game. And it looks like Hellblade 3 is going to be their next game. So that's, I don't know. So Project Mara looked interesting. I don't know. I like kind of some of the horror game aspects and things like that. It did look like something maybe, horror-esque, that we could, that seemed different. I don't know. It's just like there's not a lot of that from Microsoft, so I thought maybe that could fill a need. But on a very rare occasions over the past few years, we've heard from Xbox Studio Ninja Theory about something called Project Mara, which was first announced way back in 2020 as a new in development experimental title that explores a new way of storytelling. So if you guys didn't know, this is what they said back then, and obviously it was one of those interesting things. It was based as a in development experimental game based on mental terror. Ninja Theory says the game will explore new ways of storytelling and be a showcase of what could become a new storytelling medium. They did a video on it and everything like that. It was a very interesting video, and it was about a 4.5 minute video, right? So obviously that was something that they were interested in. Maybe it was a passion project, but clearly is not something that's going to happen. So now it sounds like Project Mara may never turn into a finished game, at least according to Windows Central editor Jez Gordon, who says in the latest podcast video that he did, he says that Project Mara has served as a concept for Ninja Theory, but it's not something that's currently being turned into a game. Quote, "I've heard that you guys shouldn't expect Project Mara to be a thing. Project Mara was just a concept. It's not a game, and it's not a game they're currently working on. It might be something they work on eventually, but Project Mara is not a game that's currently being worked on at Ninja Theory." He went on to discuss Hellblade 3, suggesting that it appears Ninja Theory's next planned release is in fact Hellblade 3. "From what I understand, the next game is Hellblade 3, and it's going to be a quite bit more interactive than Hellblade 1 and 2. I don't know the exact nature of what Hellblade 3 is going to be like, if it's even going to be Hellblade 3, but it does sound like it's going to be in the Hellblade universe, and it does sound like they want to make it more of a game and broaden the appeal to some degree." Now, here's the thing, right? Like, I like the idea that, hey, let's do something different, let's do something new, because if you've ever played some of the Ninja Theory stuff, they've done some really, really, really good games in the past, including they've done one of my favorites on the PS3, Heavenly Sword. So why not do a game more like that? I thought that's what Hellblade 2 was going to be, but Hellblade 2 ended up taking a step back from even the first Hellblade in terms of combat, where you could fight multiple people in Hellblade 1. Hellblade 2 was different. You could only fight one person. I don't know. That game was not fun, right? That's the best way I could put it. I didn't finish the game, but you shouldn't be stressing in a game and I don't know, that game was just very much not a game that I looked at as something that was fun to play. That it just wasn't a fun game. I don't know, so obviously I would hope that they're making something different. Obviously, if they do want to make something in the Hellblade universe or whatever to broaden the appeal, make a hack and slash game, right? That's something you guys know how to do. I think, all that focus they did on Hellblade 2, and I know lockdowns and stuff happened, but there's no way that game should have taken 5 years to make, This is obviously anything that Gordon mentioned should be taken with a pinch of salt, as he advises he only puts things in writing on Windows Central when he's particularly confident about them. The podcast is more for sharing what he's heard through the grapevine rather than anything concrete. If this does indeed turn out to be the case, it seems like we'll be waiting a while for Ninja Theory to give us anything new. Hellblade 2 was announced in 2019 and didn't release until 2024, so that's quite a stretch of time. Obviously, it's one of those things that, he also kind of explained also that it would be more like a traditional game, which is something that, he says he doesn't know 100% if it's Hellblade. He expects it is, but yeah, he hears they're leaning more into a traditional combat gameplay next time. So, I guess that would be good news, because I just don't think, like, if you just look at the numbers, and I get that it's not always about numbers and things like that, but who is Hellblade for, right? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be a douche or anything, but who's it for, really? Because the game didn't sell well. It didn't have a lot of players, quote unquote. So it's just one of those things where you just kind of maybe question who it's for, and you worry because Ninja Theory is a talented developer, but you also start to worry, like, okay, what happens if they do another Hellblade game? That's 3 Hellblade games, and it just doesn't really seem like that it's going to be realistically something that people are going to be into. So if we look back, and they've had some decent games, right? They did Heavenly Sword, they did Enslaved Odyssey to the West, which I thought was decent. They did DMC Devil May Cry. I actually really liked this game, but then their last games under the Microsoft banner have been Bleeding Edge, which has been terrible, and then they did Hellblade 2, which was kind of an average game in a lot of ways. So again, do something people want, something a little more interactive, and I'm totally in that camp. Do something with that. I guess the Project Mara announcement could be a little damning or whatever, right? Like another cancellation or whatever the case may be. But for me, I just hope that they end up doing something that's going to draw in a game that realistically that's going to really attract people and get people excited. Like that's sort of the hope for my point of view anyway. Like I would love to see something like that happen. Like I never know necessarily what's going to happen or what Microsoft is going to do. I mean, they could turn around and like close the whole studio down tomorrow for all we know. But the fact that they're still working on some stuff, I think at least makes it somewhat palpable that they could do something. And if you were to ask me what would I hope it would be, like, why would you do something in the Hellblade universe, quote unquote? It's not like it's a Marvel thing or something that's huge, right? It's like, hardly anybody's played it, so you might as well just come out with something new at that point. It doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense not to do that. So again, we'll have to wait and see how this kind of all works out. I was kind of interested in that whole storytelling idea behind Project Mara, but now I guess we just have to kind of wait and see how things go. I would love to see, to see how these things are going in the long run or whatever. And I think that we'll have to see how gamers react to these things, because I don't want to see games kind of coming down to the situation where, hey, we can only make this kind of game or this kind of game. And I'm not saying that they should chase a game that's going to be a surefire hit. I like the fact that they took a thing, but it's like they've done Hellblade twice now. Move on. Do something new. You guys are a talented studio. Do something, imagine graphics like that with like a God of War type game, but a hack and slay. I mean, I would say that it's, I would say that it's something like, it'd be cool because that'd be a good showpiece for Xboxes in the future, but nothing they do is exclusive, so I guess that point's kind of moot. But anyway, what do you guys think about this? How do you guys feel about it? Would you guys like to see them move on and do something else? It's just like I feel like everybody was very quick to forget all about Hellblade 2, and in fact, I never thought it actually was talked about in the first place. I mean, considering it was the showpiece that was shown off with the Xbox Series X, it's sort of weird that it was never actually it took so long to get ready, and then it was 30 frames per second, and then not only was it 30 frames per second, but then it got a 60 frames update when it went to PlayStation, and so it's just one of those things where there was a lot to kind of unpack there. So anyway, I would love your guys' thoughts and opinions on this. As always, it would be very helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys all have a great day. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up. We'll catch you next time. Crap gamer out.